Welcome to Dr. Dempsey Unplugged, the podcast for entrepreneurs, dreamers, and doers who are ready to elevate their mindset and business success. Hosted by me, Dr. Angelica Dempsey. This show is all about breaking through mental barriers, stepping into your potential, and turning your vision into reality. Whether you are launching a business, scaling your brand, or simply looking for motivation. Each episode is packed with actionable insights, expert strategies, and raw conversations to help you thrive. Tune in weekly to unlock the mindset shifts, productivity hacks, and success habits you need to win. Have you ever wondered why physical health is so important and the correlation that it has to you being successful at business? Well, today's a treat. Today, I have my great friend Marquis here, and he is considered, in my book, a health guru. With that being said, he's going to be here. He's going to tell us a little bit about the importance of your physical health and how it can manifest into helping you become successful in business. Without further ado, however, I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. Marquis, please introduce yourself. Please tell the people who you are and why is it so important to be healthy as it relates to business.
My name is Marquis Bailey. I go by Key to Health. And where can I start with this? You know, with health, without your health, you don't have anything. Without your health, you can't go to work. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't produce anything. You can't be productive. Your health is the foundation to you being successful as a person, entrepreneur, or whatever. The key to life is health. Without your health, health is wealth. You always hear people say, well, health is wealth, but they're not putting in the work to be wealthy, you know. And it's funny because you see people just neglect their self, not knowing but unconsciously by the choices that they make when they choose what they're going to eat, you know what I'm saying? And I was there before, so I relate, you know what I'm saying? I always wanted a bag of chips or a honey bun or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something to give you that sugary run and you think you're doing something, but the crash is just, you know, devastating and what it can do to the body and the way that your mind operates, because the mind has to be focused in any endeavor you take on to have the capacity to think on the spur of the minute. You might have a business opportunity and bump into somebody or you're in a situation where this person got a question for you and you have to be able to answer, but you done ate a honey bun and it's making you know, coming on a crash. It's not allowing your neurons to fire off, you know, and everything to operate like it should be operating, you know what I'm saying? But imagine you just, you know, me, myself, is crazy because I'm at my best. I think my best when I'm in a fasting state.
Yeah.
You know, most of the days I start off, I don't eat until 6 p.m. If I do eat, it's some watermelon. That's basically what I've been on right now for the last 5 days. It's just watermelon. And it's just amazing how your body operates, knowing the operation of the body. Because when you're doing an all watermelon like I've been doing, right? And I wondered the other day, you know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot going on in the atmosphere, but I was coming down with like just a sinus infection like type of thing where I'm just releasing mucus. Then I had to stop and think, hey, I've been doing this all watermelon. And that's the, you know, people don't understand when you're going through a detox, the body is reversing situations and mucus and stuff that you have bagged up in your body that you didn't get rid of in the cleaning process. So when I'm doing this cleaning process, I start coming down with symptoms as if I was sick. So that's how the body operates. We mistake our defense system sometimes with sickness. And the thing is, like I often tell people, like the analogy of if I sprayed you with some pepper spray, right? The first thing that happens is your eyes start watering, your nose start running, you start coughing, you start sneezing. Now, when you think about this, think about it from a logical point of view in your body, understanding your body. The pepper spray, your body used the defense system, which is the fluid in your body, and the air. The fluid to flush out, the air to blow out. So that was just an immunological response to something that triggered it.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of triggers in the atmosphere and other things like that. And a lot of people think they're allergic to certain things, like a person do all watermelon, they start seeing all these so-called allergic reaction things happen in their body. They think they're allergic to watermelon, but the watermelon is reversing the condition in your body, and it's making it elevate the mucus and everything, because it's becoming part of your circulatory system of eliminating it. Not the circulatory system of the blood.
It's going in and getting all the toxins out. And a lot of times people feel that way.
Because the toxins that was suppressed, because your body also creates fat and mucus to trap these toxins.
In that same space, right? A lot of people think that in reverse it's quite different. For instance, like a lot of people who get cysts and things of that nature, they want to go have a biopsy. But the thing is, when you cut it open, you're now letting out all the things that your body has trapped in to protect you. And a lot of times that's why people, when they have cancer, it's exacerbated actually once they go and have those biopsies or they have some type of a removal. But that's completely left. I'm not trying to go against the medical community. You can believe what you want. However, I have a different viewpoint on all that stuff, so I can go all the way left too, with all of that.
Right, but myself, I'm going against the medical system. It's just I just disagree with a lot of things that the medical system was founded on. It's mostly profit, and they're experimenting. Once they tell you that their drugs can't work for you, they say, well, there's nothing else we can do for you, when it's things they're doing in their own personal lives that they're not, that they're not even telling you.
Right.
Which is using the earth to heal you. The earth is the ultimate healer, and healing begins with oneself. It starts with the mindset. It's like a placebo effect. Your body, the cells in your body, they don't understand joking. They don't understand playing. It's no gray area. It's only black and white. When you tell yourself, they done did experiments with a glass of water, where the water, you tell the water, this water is going to be nourishing, this water is going to hydrate me, and it does just that. And you tell that same water, this water is bad, it's dirty, and it started looking dirty, filmy, and you tell it got bacteria, that you drink it, next thing you know, you got a bacterial infection. Things of that nature, because your body can create environments, and you have the power, using your mind, to make the body carry out certain things, you know what I'm saying? And
that's like mind-body connection that you're talking about,
exactly.
right?
Along with the certain foods you eat, you got to understand you got certain foods you eat that turns on certain genetic markers in the body that make the body produce certain chemicals to elevate your thinking, to elevate your mood. And then at the opposite of it, you got foods that shut off certain genetic markers to make you feel anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. So people don't relate these things into their everyday life.
That's right. I really appreciate that. I do. And I feel for some people who are there, they completely understand. Other people, it's time to wake up. It is, respectfully it is. And the only way to do that is to, one, acknowledge that this is new information and it can be helpful. And it's important to see how this type of a lifestyle that the Key to Health is speaking about, right? And how it can absolutely relate to business and help you be very successful in the long run. So I do have my handy dandy questions, the questions that I ask all of the individuals who come to the podcast, and I'm going to ask the Key to Health as well, just so that we can get some insights as it relates to him and his story and his understanding of like business. Before we get into it, so tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, since I was a young guy, I started working at a grocery store, taking out groceries at a store called Mr. B's in Flint, Michigan. I'm from Flint, Michigan. We're recording right now in Atlanta, Georgia, but I am from Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
And I'm a true Flintstone. Where I'm from, everybody's proud of their city. We get a bad, reputation. Or as everybody always say, what's wrong with the water, or this and that. But Flint is a great place where I grew up at. You know what I'm saying? And it's like any city in America. Experienced, downfall from the business as far as General Motors and stuff like that. Aspect of it leaving, being outshipped to Mexico and stuff like that. But Flint was a middle class city. It was actually number one per capita income in America at one point. Household families, under 100,000 people. But I grew up there, and like I said, I worked at a grocery store, and I started my own business. As far as when I was working at the grocery store, I was loaning people money at work, and I was working with older people, and a lot of that, I loaned them money, and they'll pay me back with interest. So I started business mine early.
Nice.
And then I went on to start my own record company in 1989, 1990. I started my own record company. Started with an LLC, an EIN. I was like 19 years old at the time, and that's when my first experience with really business came, and knowing like the taxes involved and all this type of stuff, and how you can use this to put yourself in a position to succeed and create generational wealth.
Nice. Something that a lot of people don't know. There was I say a shorter period of time, but Key and I went into business too. We both are personal trainers. As I'd say, I don't want to say a side hustle, but kind of like a side hustle, right? And we have some people that we definitely helped, and I feel like they benefited. They stayed with us for quite some time, right? Yeah. So
results.
right, the results speak for themselves. So he's definitely very business minded.
Tag team personal training.
Yeah, tag team fitness. That's what it was.
We used to be like, I'm a force all by myself.
Yeah. That was that. Fabulous and Neo. Yeah. Those were the days. Definitely had a lot. That's pretty much like when I first came to Georgia. Soon thereafter, we met in the gym, of course.
I was just coming down here myself from Flint, Michigan, so we was like, strangers.
I was coming from New York. Yeah, we came and we met in the gym on the pull-up bar. My pull-up game was crazy. Oh my God, yeah, I could do a whole bunch of pull-ups. People couldn't believe it. And then we started going to Stone Mountain and running up. If you about that life, you know what it's like to go around and then go up. That was us.
If I wasn't here, I'll be there now.
Yeah, right. So actually, after we shoot, I'm going to the gym. So, but that's what it was. So I began to understand his business acumen then when I first moved to Georgia, and we've been cool ever since. But let's get into the questions. When you became an entrepreneur, how did that shape your mindset?
With me, it shaped my mindset, and what I enjoyed about it and what I enjoy about it now is the freedom. I don't feel like I'm engulfed inside the matrix of life as far as working for these corporations, you know what I'm saying? And I'm my own corporation. We all are. Until you activate yourself as being a corporation, you'll always be a worker. So that's how my mindset was. Like, I gotta, get up out the slave mindset, working for somebody else, it's not for everybody. It's gonna work for me.
That's right, right? If you don't work for somebody, I get it, I respect it. Every entrepreneur faces challenges. What has been one of your biggest lows in your business journey, and how did you overcome it?
Well, my business is myself again. I'm the corporation, and my journey is different. My journey revolves around my health, and that's what I sell, my health, because I do consultations with people. I do, meal planning. I do preparation as far as herbs to take for cleansing, to target the whole body, to cleanse the body, because once you cleanse the body, you rid yourself of a lot of the anxiety, the mental fog, and the stuff that stagnating you, the stuff that separates, the fear, make you overcome the fear, because you begin to understand that a lot of things you're procrastinating about, it's some of it is your diet, you know what I'm saying, because it's making you not even want to have the oomph to move forward,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that. What mindset shift has been the most critical for you as you've grown in your entrepreneurial journey, and how did it impact the way you approach business?
Well, again, this episode is related to health, and that's what I'm the guru of, is health. So I would say that once I start understanding that the better I take care of myself, the more available I am. And in the business, the best ability is your availability.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. The more available you are, however, that positions you to be able to grow in business. Like you said, eating that honey bun, that makes you sluggish. You're tired. You're not able to be as present, right? As mentally available. And that speaks volumes, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur who wants to grow and who wants to scale. That's like super important in that space. Okay, next question. What was a high point in your business journey where everything seemed to click? And how did you use that momentum to propel your business forward?
Well, I think when I was back in the day, we was doing the music and rap thing, and I'm seeing the sales and stuff like that. It was just impressive how, my dream, my, ambition and drive, people feeling it, you know what I'm saying? They want to be a part of it, so they purchased the music, and we had a following and everything like that. I think that's the moment it clicked that, you have to become what you want to become, which is successful, a millionaire or whatever you consider a billionaire or whatever. You have to be able to resonate with the people, you know what I'm saying? Because you can get a large number of people to follow you, or have interest in you, or want to see what you're about. You're putting yourself in position to make yourself a marketable person.
Yeah, yeah.
Business or establishment, corporation, or what have not.
Yeah. And they say your network is your net worth. So the more people that you're associated with, and depending on where they're at, will then better position you for that net worth you're trying to establish with your business, So, yeah, thank you for that. Next question. As it relates to health, right? How do you maintain resilience during the tough times when it comes to eating healthy, maintaining your mentality, all those things, like when things aren't going as planned?
Okay, well, what made me think about, I thought instantly about, time COVID first started. I had a hernia.
I remember that,
hernia
yeah.
right in my groin area. And I was thinking like, damn, hernia, this more, structural. I'm not a structural type person. If you break your leg, I can't help you. I can tell you how to help heal it, how you going to recover, but I'm not the type of person that's going to set your leg and all that. I'm not that type of person. That's not my expertise. I'm more preventative, helping you. And then if you do have a situation where what they call a disease or whatever, I can help you reverse that. But, you know what I'm saying? But with a hernia, I was thinking like, so I learned I can do that too far. The hernia, because the hernia was dealing basically with your diet and everything. It was basically what happens is it pools up, and the acid pool up in the area, and wherever the acid pool up, acid eats away at the tissue. So it's like a basketball with what they call a titty in a basketball. When the ball start thinning, it pops out because there's nowhere else to go. So when the acid eats away at that area, it thins out and it pop out. That's what a hernia is. So what I did was went on an all fruit diet. I did it for 30 days.
Yeah.
It was in November. It wasn't watermelon season, so I'm doing a lot of grapes, lemon. Lemon was a big factor. You know what I'm saying? I was I take a whole lemon, clean it with baking soda, let it sit in vinegar and water, clean it real good. I take the whole lemon, peel and all, put it in a blender and drink that, and it's real sour. People used to be mad at me because some people I consult with, I used to tell them to do that, and they were like, "Oh, it's so nasty." But after a while, they started appreciating it, especially when they seen the results. What it did for me, it went in and helped. It's like a sore on the outside. A hernia on the inside, it's like a sore on the outside. So once I put it in the right environment, like you clean the sore, you put alcohol, witch hazel, and all that on it on the outside, but you have to do the same thing with stuff it has healing modalities in it and properties from the inside, like herbs and stuff. And the way I was doing it was all fruit first, because you have to put your body in a position to heal. When you put yourself in a position, because it's all about like pH balance, and you start. So my body was acidic because the pool built up of acidic fluid, and it burnt away at the tissue, causing the elasticity to give away. And then you have to understand, once the elasticity in the stomach has given away, you don't have nothing but coils of intestines rolled up, and they shoot through the surface of the skin, and that's the hernia. So what I did again was all fruit, and it changed the alkaline. I put so much alkaline in my body, it reduced the acid, and it helps repair and build what's name. After I did that, I went to the hospital and tried to get inquiry, but they couldn't help me because I refused to take a COVID test because I wasn't letting nobody stick nothing in my nose because I knew what was going on with COVID or what they, so-called, I don't want to get this station flag or anything, but what, I understood what was going on. And right now it's sad because we're experiencing the same thing today as we speak. You got what they call the hospitals are filling up with people with respiratory issues. But anyway, I don't want to get off subject.
It's okay. See, clearly he knows his stuff, right? Yeah. Next question. What are some health habits or practices that you've developed over time to help you stay focused on your long-term goals?
Man, it's health is a journey. You got to understand that. It's like on a journey, like when I go to the mountain, if I go to the mountain with you, if anybody goes to the mountain with anybody, I'm going to do the mountain at my pace. You doing the mountain at your pace, because your journey is your journey. It's all about getting done. I'll wait at the end of it for you, but I'm not going to hold your hand on your journey because it's going to affect my journey.
For people who don't know, the mountain is Stone Mountain, Georgia. It's a really, actually very popular and famous mountain. When he says do the mountain, you can like go around. It's like 3 miles around, or you can go up. Oh, it's 5? Okay, my bad. Oh yeah, we did 3K. Three. It's a 3K. Sorry, 5 miles, 3K. So it's 5 miles around, and then it's 1 going up. However, it's a hike. It is not a joke. It's not for the the unfit, the faint, the mentally, like it will get you. If you've done it many times and you take it some time off, it'll still get you. So just to fill you in, the mountain.
I do it with a 55-pound vest on, and it'd be some people, I go do it twice, and they be like, well, but it's mind over matter, you know what I'm saying? So I relate a journey, even your health journey like that, like it's little things that I do, like for instance, I do lemon or key limes and cayenne pepper. Mm-hmm. I first started doing it, and then I just make things a habit. And then when you start doing the routine things routinely, they become part of the routine, you know what I'm saying? And I implement stuff, and I keep implementing stuff on top of that. And at the end of the day, I'm doing so much stuff. Like the way I start my morning out to brush my teeth, it's a regimen. I get up, I chew on cloves, let cloves soak in my mouth till they get to my body temperature, start releasing the properties into my saliva glands. And I put that in my mouth for like 10, 15 minutes, and along with coconut oil, and swish it around for 10, do
like oil pulling?
Oil pulling for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, Then I go peroxide, baking soda, and charcoal toothpaste, because I don't mess with fluoride.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, you still don't do fluoride? Yeah,
because again, when I was speaking about how certain chemicals trigger certain chemicals in the body, and when these chemicals, they shut off genetic markers, and that shut off the pineal gland, it calcifies it. So fluoride isn't good. And now they're talking, as you see, because RFK, I guess that's his name. He's the head of the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. It's funny they have the Food and Drug Administration because they synonymous. They're one.
Yes,
food
they
and
are.
Drugs.
Yep.
Food is your drugs, and the only way it's not is when you eat the so-called food. You're gonna need their so-called drugs.
That's that. I hope that this doesn't get this flagged, but like it's the weed killer you put outside to kill the weeds, like you're killing the dandelions, right? Which are amazing for like health properties, and but the reality is the medication that they're giving has that in it, so it's just so wild that the way that they kind of control it and the back and forth,
It's like, crazy because Angelica, she's not on Facebook. If she is, she don't be on there much. But I just made a post about that.
Oh, what we're talking about?
Yes.
How crazy is that, right? The same company.
I got a thing called Connect the Dots, and I said this to Get Off the Meds edition. So you got two, a chemical drug company and a pharmaceutical company, both multi-billion-dollar companies, merging together because they know that if I make this chemical, you make this drug, you're gonna need my chemical, so we both stand to make money. And the genius out of it, in an evil way, is that they conspire together to kill the earth's drugs in your front yard. It's people who done died. That's why I'm saying on this post. It's people who done died of cancer and suffering with cancer right now, and the cure is right in their front yard.
Mm-hmm. They say dandelions are bad for you, but they are remarkable. Just do your research. Do your research. Yeah. This page isn't really about that, but it does help because, like your mindset, right? Your operating level of consciousness, how well and how elevated you're able to operate is going to position you to do better holistically. It's not just about your mind, it's about your body as well. They work in tandem. You can't really remove one element. You can't remove your mind and feel like your body's going to operate at tip-top shape. You can't remove your body, the physical elements, and feel like your mind is going to operate at tip-top shape. It doesn't work that way. So just do your research, in that space. So
and sometimes it's like we get targeted and we don't understand. Okay, like the dandelion. Dandelion works excellent for the kidney. The kidney is responsible for creating chemicals in the body. And you know what I'm saying? Turn on certain genetic markers and off certain genetic markers. Dandelion promotes it to turn on genetic markers that help the body repair itself, help the organs, because that's what it's all about. It's the organs in the body. The body is always concerned about the organs in the body and the intercellular molecular structure of the body. Mm-hmm. That's your life force. Once you start having a problem with that, that's when everything go downhill. Mm-hmm. So dandelion goes in and promotes the kidney to produce chemicals for what it's supposed to do. A lot of people don't understand that your kidney. A guy I know, he has fatty liver. The kidney produces too much fat. But the fat is because of his diet, processed foods, sugary foods, because when you're eating this stuff, this food is for you to carry out exercise, mission, whatever, work, whatever. It's giving you the energy to carry out whatever life has in front of you. Mm-hmm. But when you start abusing it and eating too much of it, and it's not getting metabolized, what it does is the kidney start creating fat to go trap this sugar, because sugar eventually breaks down to acid. Acid eats away at the tissue. That's the inflammation that they're speaking that so many people have. Inflammation. And then once you start, your body start creating, your liver start creating too much fat, it starts storing, your stomach start bloating, getting bigger and bigger, and that's fatty liver. And it's just amazing how something simple as dandelion root or dandelion, implementing that into your diet can help neutralize, conditions of that nature, but along with a diet that's susceptible for these herbs to go in and assimilate into the body.
Your body has to be able to be prepared to receive as well, and
it's really dependent on, like most people, we in a society now where we hear all the stuff about, on our timelines and reels, we hear all the stuff about health and how the food is this and that, but we steady indulging and we're not even cleaning. That's the crucial part, is no matter what you eat, I can't tell you what to eat. I know what I'm going to eat. I'm going to eat fruit because that's what my body, that's your body. Listen, you can be stressed out. I'm stressed. You can be stressed because you're putting your body through the procedure of the process of breaking down food that is complicated for it to break down. So now it's stressed. And now your body leading to mental stress. So
then you have adrenal fatigue, and
so exactly, and stuff of that nature.
Right.
So when you eat all fruit, the body it metabolizes so easy. That's calm. That right there alone can ease anxiety.
Yeah, that absolutely. Oh my goodness, like I'm a person who cleanses. Not everybody knows that, but matter of fact, I just did one last week. Last week was my one of my fruit cleanses, and it just helps so much. If you're a person who has not done it, I will say the first few times it might be challenging. So mentally, because you want to eat, it's just, your body is so used to consuming food. But once you get into this, like I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. And with that being said, in that space, once you do it, like the mental clarity that you have, the calm that you have, all that cortisol that you like dripped into your arm, just living here in America, at that point, it's like you feel like a resolution. It feels so good on the other side of that. So, it's so important, like so important. Next question. Can you describe a moment when fear or doubt almost derailed you and how you made the mental shift to keep going?
Well, I've been doing this journey for a long time, and I remember like it really wasn't the COVID time when people started focusing their mindset on health that they started recognizing my worth. You know,
Okay, yeah.
and I think prior to that, it was kind of like I'm posting stuff about health, but nobody's really giving a damn about health until health was brought into their face. You know, what
Now
I'm
they
saying?
sick with COVID and they scared. Now they want to live, right? So
Exactly.
now I remember they were coming to you for like CMOS, like he was the CMOS plug and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and this
The
way,
real
this
CMOS.
way before COVID, when people wasn't even knowing what CMOS was.
Right.
And you got to explain it, you know, in depth.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it's like before that time, you know, before COVID, people mindset wasn't really on their health, and it's funny because that had to, you know, you had to see all these people die to wake you up, and that's kind of the wake up call because my journey really began. I was in prison in 2002, and my mother and father both passed. My father passed December of 2002, and my mother passed 8 months later. They both died from strokes, and my mother had an aneurysm. She had an aneurysm after she had a stroke. So I was in prison, and they just put me on high blood pressure medication, and that's my first and last time ever taking medication in my life. I've never been prescribed a drug since then. So that was my wake up call, and it was like, hey, I'm my mother and father, so I gotta change.
You gotta tighten up, right?
I gotta change. The only thing I'm capable of changing that was the diet. You know what I'm saying? The DNA is who I am, but it's the things that set off certain genetic markers in the family that make you think that you might, you know, it runs in the family. What runs in the family more than anything is the diet. You know what I'm saying? That's run more than the DNA.
Yeah, yeah. Understood.
Because you can have a child that's not even of the same family, but if they didn't sit there and been with that family or raised with that family and took on that diet, they sit up and have the same health complications later in life also.
I appreciate you for sharing that, and your journey started way before COVID, so you had a better understanding of things to do when COVID came around, and I admire you for being able to, be selfless and help people during a time of need. Yeah, they weren't ready. Their eyes weren't open. They weren't woke to the idea of changing their diet.
I got a lot of followers. I help countless people who had certain medical conditions, per HIPAA. I can't name names because I'm not I'm not a medical doctor, and that's funny because I consider myself a healer, and a doctor to me is a person who practices medicine, and I'm against medicine. So when people call me a doctor, it's kind of like
almost like disrespectful.
It's kind of disrespectful, but on their mind level, that's where they're at. So I agree. I understand what they mean as a compliment.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more like that's not what I am. Because I don't practice medicine. I use the earth, and I use what God has given us to, God of your understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because you are a creator also. You create a garden, and you give yourself life.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give struggling entrepreneurs who are on their journey of greatness and the importance that they need to consider as it relates to health? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, I would tell anybody, be your own health care. Because if self doesn't care, health care is really irrelevant, because you can have the best health care in the world, but if you're not taking care of yourself with the decisions and what you're putting into your body, it doesn't make a difference. The only thing going to happen is you're going to die on some equipment that's better than the next person who didn't have the health coverage.
Right.
It's funny because they talking about the health coverage, but we just found out Biden has stage 4 prostate cancer, and it's so aggressive, but this the president of the United States got the best health coverage in the world. How did they get to that point when it's just sprung on us? Either
right.
They're hiding it, or hey, it's the healthcare system is a delusion.
Mm-hmm.
It all starts with self. I'm 54 years old, and I take care of myself, and I use I don't have any aches, pains, not on any medication, and it's all can attribute it to my diet. You know, what I put in my body. You know, I'm real conscious of what I put in my body.
Right. And look at it. You would never ever guess he's this age, right? Never, right? However, health is wealth, right? And you have to really look at that. And that's like the correlation. You know, your health, as it relates to being an entrepreneur, can really be justified by, you know, like, your wealth can be justified by your health. Well, Marquis, thank you so much for joining me today for this very special episode. I do hope that the listeners can really take something from this. I also would love for anyone who's interested in truly improving not just their mental health, but their physical health to contact this healer. He is the key to health, seriously. Please tell everyone, how can they contact you?
Well, right now you can get with me on Facebook and social media, Marquis Bailey, or you can reach out to me at 810-588-1550.
Yeah.
I do consultations on health, put together herb packages for you or whatever. I still sell sea moss after 14 years. Yeah.
And then he has the real sea moss. If you know anything about it, it's super beneficial. I think it's like 92 minerals out of the 102 minerals in your body. So do your research on it. But, you know, he definitely has the real deal. There are some definite distinct markers that show you fake versus real. He has the real kind. I highly encourage you all to reach out to him, utilize him. He's here, you know, he's a helper, and in that space, I feel like he can be very beneficial to whomever, not only in the fitness, you know, the health and fitness, him being a trainer, but also just like the physical fitness, what you ingest, you know. With that being said, I really hope that you took something out of here, and if we were able to help one person along this journey, then our job is done. And until next time, peace.